Now it's January 17th, 2023. I'm Larissa. I've been drinking from my skull here now for a little bit. Just looking at the newses, right? Looking at the newses. Thinking about stuff. Saw this thing the other day where Putin says he's going to come after Alaska. I saw that from the beginning. Joe Biden, have you moved any troops up there, huh? Have you? You're going to expecting Mr. Trudeau to take care of shit? I don't know. Is Justin really your amigo? Justin going to want some of that thorium? No, Mr. Trudeau. I don't know. Hmm? Yeah. Just thinking about that. This plane crash in Nepal. Interesting, huh? Interesting that somebody decided just before the plane went down to start filming, huh? What's up with that person, huh? Where are they from? Were they part of a religious group? How many missionaries were on that flight? How many? How many missionaries were on that flight into Nepal? Right? Nepal has that legislation that they passed. What was that, like 5, 6, 7 years ago? Who cares about Nepal, right? Oh, Nepal's an interesting place, huh? Right there next to Tibet. Who's hiding out there? What's the legislation? They passed that legislation where it is illegal for a person to convert to another religion other than the one that they are born into. Really interesting, right? They didn't make missionary work illegal. They made conversion illegal. They made it illegal to change your mind. So interesting. What an interesting approach, huh? Horrific. Absolutely horrific. How many dead Ukrainians are there now? How many? How many dead Ukrainians? How many? All the blonde hair, it's going into all the weaves. This coming from Ukrainian women, huh? Ukrainian women selling their hair? Is that what's happening? Oh, yeah. Where are the tresses of a Ukrainian woman? Awesome. All those wigs and weaves. Gross. Really, really gross. So there's this road back here. It's pretty collapsed in our neighborhood. Yeah. Well, at least it'll be harder for them to poach timbers off the back part of my property now if that road's out, huh? Yeah. The trees that are down back here. Ridiculous. Mm. It's like, it goes both ways, you know. There's a lot of problem all the way around. So there's all these people back here, and there's all this stuff that needs to be done, and and there's people who can do it, right? And they gouge prices, right? There's a guy that came out here, thought because he didn't know he didn't know Omar and I, and we're not from here, right? He could gouge us that I wasn't gonna know. I was gonna be stupid, not know. So there's a lot of that. There's a lot of work back here that's not done on properties because it's like not something that anybody can do by themselves, right? And then when you go to hire people to do it, you know, they, people are really unfair with their pricing. Oh, the work that we've had done on our property, we found a tree company called Mia Bella, and they were just the best price, and they show up on time, whatever. But it's still not cheap, right? But we need to get our driveway fixed up, right? Guy come out here and wanted to charge 14 grand. Ridiculous amount of money. Ridiculous amount of money. Because who's got that just sitting around, right? Nobody. And so, like, lots of people just don't get shit done. Right? Yeah. It's way too much fucking money. Right? Yeah, so this road was washed out. The roads that go around the mountain back here, there needs to be retaining wall put in. It does. There needs to be retaining wall. And it's interesting to me that the roads have been built the way that they've been built back here. And I'm talking about the county roads, not the private roads like the one we're on, right? It's just laying asphalt down directly onto basically what are old logging trails, right? That's really what it is. And there's no structure. There's no or very little support structure underneath it. And you have all this really sandy dirt, right? The rocks are all breaking up and things now. I was watching this documentary on the fungi, talking about the hyphae and how the hyphae gets down. There's certain types of fungi that actually draw mineral directly out of rock and break rock up with their hyphae. Hyphae is the finest part of the mycelia structure, right? So, there's so much more fungus back here since, well, there's a few different issues. I mean, there's the invasive species that was introduced in eucalyptus and then in the Algerian ivy, right? Mm. I'm glad there's no eucalyptus on my property. Really glad. There's a whole mess of them back there, though, around the area, just beyond the area where the road collapsed. There's a whole mess of them back there. Was it last rainy season? There was a real big one that came down, and it was up higher on the mountain, and it fell backwards and slid root side down to the road, and the roots stopped right at the side of the road. It was really big. They came out and they cut it up. Because they get top heavy and sandy soil, they just like fall out. They just fall out of the ground. That's what happened. And there's all these buggy oaks, all these oaks with bugs. And they need to be cut down, and the buggy parts need to be all burnt up. Oh, but everybody's afraid of burning because nobody has nice burn pits. Oh my God. So yesterday I finally got that painting all installed. Didn't hang it the way I wanted to hang it. With the way that I originally wanted to hang it, we had to make some accommodation because, it's in a different space and you have to install. I mean, space is very, very important. Very, very important part of the artwork. And it's interesting because, like, this painting, it's enormous painting, big painting. It's a big painting. It's a big painting. It is. It's a really big painting. Now looks small. It's like seeing the painting for the first time. Like, I've been living with this painting for a number of years, or a couple years now. And so the painting is called Fisheye View of the CZU Devilfish Watched. So I have this angelfish. And we'll see if you can see. He's up there. Devilfish is up there. And during the CZU, you could, like, the whole sky looking out the window, looking out the window, it was all orange and gray in the sky, right? And there was all this ash coming down. And the days it was most disturbing is when there was, like, obviously pieces of people's furniture and stuff that was raining down. Like, there were pieces of burning or of burnt fabrics and things. It was upholstery fabrics or curtains and things. So yeah, it was disturbing. I'm like, oh, it's somebody's house, burning, pieces of it falling down, raining in my yard. Anyway, the sky was all orange, and Devilfish was really upset when I'd get up in the morning, right? I'd come downstairs, and he'd be looking. He'd have his face up at the edge of the aquarium, looking out the window. He would be watching, and then he'd look at me and he'd shake his head. He's really upset. Every morning. Devilfish watched that. Devilfish watched that fire and was really upset, was really stressed out by it. So, after the fires, I did a great big portrait of him. I did a big portrait of this little tiny fish. Giant portrait of this little tiny fish. I just thought it was really, really amazing that this tiny little creature, this tiny, tiny little creature living in out of context of his existence, right? Tropical freshwater fish. Had no business being up here, right? A tropical freshwater fish. Yeah. Watching that fire, being freaked out, having an awareness. Yeah, the fish had an awareness. That angelfish had total awareness that there was something outside that he was afraid of. Tiny little fish. I did a giant painting of this tiny little fish. Watching that fire. I relate to Devilfish. Anyway, the painting is now in a totally new context. It's like seeing a whole new painting. Brody, you gonna go do chickens with Daddy?
What time it is, Brody?
Is it chicken time, Brody? The time has come to do chickens. Yeah. Yeah, so finally got that installed. It was like pulling fucking teeth to do it, too. Like, this is taking way longer than what it should or what I want it to. And sometimes I feel like he's pleased for the gallery, but most of the time I feel like it's like he's also resentful of it. Anyway, that painting's over there now. So I can start doing some other stuff, right? I don't know. This thing on my finger. I don't think I want to go see a doctor. I don't. Not because like I'm afraid of what it might be or could be, like, but because I don't trust that the doctor is going to be honest, right? Here in Santa Cruz County, I've had issues like it's been right. Went down to the women's clinic trying to get a pap smear and a mammogram, and they tried to give me testosterone shots and tried to make me feel dirty for asking for a pelvic exam. Oh, I don't usually do that on a first visit. Are you okay? Do you need antidepressants? Do you need testosterone? Are you transgender? That was the treatment I got at the women's clinic. Yeah. And when I went to the urgent care wanting to get an HIV test, an HIV exposure test because of things that had happened, plus I had had tattoo work, and I have a lot of tattoo work, and it is just, I always, after having tattoo work, I always get an HIV test because it's exposure to needles, and you never know, right? You never know. There's nothing wrong, and there's nothing wrong with that. They refused. At the urgent care, they told me that I had high blood pressure, that I needed to calm down, and that there was no such thing as an HIV test to test if I were exposed. And that's a lie, right? It's a lie. There is. They can do a test. It's a rapid test. It doesn't tell you whether or not you have HIV. It tells you whether you've been exposed to HIV, right? And that test can be done as soon as 48 hours after exposure. Yeah. So, and then, and the whole blood pressure thing. Then they tried to pull that shit again when I went to Dominican Hospital's emergency room when the muscle popped in my back. They're like, oh, you have high blood pressure. And I do not have high blood pressure. I do not have high blood pressure. See, this is what I think is going on. They're in the medical system. They because of the way things now are, because of Obamacare, they'll track you, and if you are a political nuisance in any way, or if the cartels who have people working in the hospitals, because they do. That's how, like, why in Oakland there's retribution all the time, because they know that's why people don't want to go into the hospitals for anything, because when that's how they know how they do gang retaliation, because they have family members that work in the hospitals and they can tell when people come in, right? And it's all busybodiness, right? So I don't trust them, because there have been numerous cases in the prisons and things where they say, oh, you have high blood pressure specifically, and then people all of a sudden have heart attacks, because then they have people working in the pharmacies as well, and I don't trust the pills that they give, right? That's the way that is what is going on. And so I don't trust them. Because I've had too much bullshit when I've gone into places. So who the fuck knows what they would do to me? Or if they would even tell me the truth. Or if they would tell me I had something I didn't have just so they could give me drugs. Right? Because that's what they do. They do that shit. Mm-hmm. It's the way the cartels work. And the government's all complicit with it, right? Right? They are. Because they want that information too. They want to know. They want to know when you're in the hospital or whatever, so they can, if you're not towing their line, right? If you're inconvenient to them. So there's not a doctor I trust in this state. Not a single fucking one. Not a single fucking one. Right? Joe Biden and his healing. Fuck you, old man. How many dead Ukrainians are there, huh? Any ones that could incriminate your son and you? They all dead now? Who all the people getting successful right now off of off the backs of all those Ukrainians, huh? Off all the bullshit that came out of the progressives. Oh, when I was living up in Santa Rosa and first met PDA. They were so friendly, Anna Givens and all them, and oh, be part of our loving family, blah 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 blah. And I didn't have any family, didn't have any friends, whatever. Well, I'm not that stupid. I'm not that stupid young girl anymore, am I? No, I don't trust any of you. Mm-mm. How are the chickens?
They're little dinosaurs.
They are little dinosaurs, except for Fluffernutter. He's a big little dinosaur. What are they doing up there? How are they? How's everybody doing? How's his bum doing? Are his feathers growing back in?
I didn't see. But it seems like he's doing fine.
How's the water up there?
Still flowing.
It's still flowing, but how deep is it? In the Chicken River, how deep is it in the Chicken River?
What are you referring to as the Chicken River?
The Chicken River is the river the little river that goes in front of the chicken coop. It comes underneath Steve and Camilla and goes down the plum tree.
Comes down like the middle of the
Yes.
garden. That's still flowing pretty strong. That's yeah.
Like if I stepped in it, would it be over my foot or over my ankle?
Definitely over your foot. I don't know if it would be over your ankle or not.
Because the other last time I was up there, it was over my ankle.
I mean, it's also trenched out. You know.
I know.
So those parts are real deep.
But I mean, the water's deep, not the water. I'm talking about the depth of the water, not the depth of the trench.
Yeah, well, I mean, in certain spots where the trench is very deep, the water is equally deep because it's filling the trench. So yeah, there's still lots draining off of there.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the ground is pretty saturated at this point.
Is it still mushy feeling under your feet, or has it started to firm up?
On that where you're talking about, that's still kind of mushy.
Oh.
There's a lot of water.
A lot of water. A lot of water. Yeah. And the erosion and stuff, it's on the coast. It's been going on for a long time. It has been. It's just so damn expensive. So damn expensive to do the work that needs to be done to either reinforce, right, or for people to move, right, because they have these really expensive oceanfront properties, really, really expensive. This is really what the biggest part of it is that, that's been prime real estate. All of those, all down the coast. That has all been prime real estate. It's been super, super expensive to buy into, super expensive. And all of these people have been sitting on these properties, right? All down the coast, right? And owned these properties for many, 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 many years, And they've been holding on to them because, oh, they've been appreciating, not selling or whatever. And their kids can't afford to buy it. Oh, we'll just give it to our kids, just give it to our kids, give it to our kids, give it to our kids. Well, now at the point where the erosion is really, this is going to depreciate property values greatly. Who wants to fucking buy that? So we were looking at stuff in Capitola and looking at what things cost, right? I'm like, who in their right mind's going to spend that on that property when it's like crumbling into the ocean, right? It's not new, and it's not going to change, right? People are going to have to accept the fact that their oceanfront property isn't worth as much as it has been. It's an inflated price. Who's going to pay that, right? and they can't afford to do repairs and things because, people are gouging, right? Oh, but for my buddy over here, oh, you've been here a long time, so, oh, I'll give you a better price, maybe. Oh, but wait, now shit's really expensive. Building supplies are really expensive. Oh, we'll just go steal the timbers. We'll just go poach the timbers off of properties like Larissa and Omar's. They're dumb. They're dumb, and they haven't been out. They were born out here. They're not our kids. They don't have any kids. Ah, oh, look at them. Omar and I aren't unique in this, right? Right, we're not unique in being in this position. There just aren't that as many of us. And people are resentful of it, right? People are resentful. Oh my goodness. So, people our age, Gen Xers in California, largely did not go to college out of high school, right? Whatever. But this is a fact. There have been studies done on this, right? So if you didn't make it in the entertainment industry or selling drugs or in stock market or a tech startup, right? If you weren't on any of those bandwagons, which aren't really big groups, are they? No, they're not. And you didn't go to school, and you went and did whatever, flitting around, then it was hard to get a job that paid enough to buy any. Brody's trying to get my attention. He's trying to be cute. Brody, you freaking out? Are you freaking out? Are you freaking out? He's freaking out. Brody, you freaking out? Are you freaking out, buddy? Are you freaking out? Anyway, people are resentful out here are resentful of people like Omar and I. And I have felt that from the day we moved out here. Don't fit in with any group, right? When Omar and I moved out here 22 years ago. We'd been married about 6 months. And only other people in our age group that were married were Latinos, largely, and who didn't speak English, right? Like this was my experience, going to church or into groups or whatever. And we didn't fit in with those groups because we're not. First of all, I didn't speak Spanish, and I'm still not fluent. And we didn't have kids. We still don't have children, right? And the first question I would be asked. Omar's never asked this. Omar's never ever asked this. But when we first moved out here, and people found out I was married, they were like, "Oh, how old's your little one?" I'm like, "Oh," because in California, if you got married in your early 20s, it was only because you got knocked up, and that wasn't us. And so like people just didn't understand us, and so the only people that we were really friends with, there were a couple couples that were from the Midwest or East Coast as well, and even that that was more out of like, oh, just because we both came from out there and we're all new out here, not because we really had anything in common, or older couples without children were friends with us, right? Omar and I have never had peers. We've never had peers. And I've been told all kinds of screwy things, like, when I worked at the city of Sunnyvale, and Kristen Dance told me that I didn't have any culture, that I didn't know anything about culture. Like, oh, okay. Because there's a snobbery, there's a Californian snobbery of somehow being, more worldly or more knowledgeable, or, you know, we've felt that. I have felt that. I don't know. Omar hasn't so much. I mean, he's in tech, and insults go over his head most of the time anyway. That's been my experience of him. You know, don't really fit in with anybody. And my family was always just kind of like, when we moved out here, one of my aunts saying, "Oh, you're gonna regret leaving the family." I'm like, what the hell kind of thing is that to say? What the hell kind of thing is that to say? So, Omar and I have never had anyone on our side. But we got Brody. Brody, are you on our side? Brody, are you one of us now? Hey, 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 Brody, hey, Brody, hey, Brody, hey, Brody. Did you hear? Did you hear about Rudy? Did you hear about Rudy Gobert? Did you hear? Brody, did you hear? Rudy has an injury, buddy. Your guy. Your guy has an injury, buddy. Brody loves Rudy. He does. He does. I love that Rudy Gobert too. I do. Rudy, feel better soon. Hope your wiener feels better real soon, mister. They say you have a groin injury. I always say that. Whenever they say I have a groin injury, I say, "Oh, what'd you do to your wiener?" To your andouille sausage. Ah, I see. Chicago and Detroit are going to go play in France, in Paris, in Paris. Oh, is Macron going to be there? With his festival of fur? Going to play the basketballs in France? Yeah, that's funny. Have fun. Have fun, Coach Casey. They're going to be over there. I wonder if they're going to call Detroit Detroit. Detroit. Everybody's going to be confused. They're going to be like, Detroit? Detroit who? Detroit Pistons? Detroit. The river. The Detroit River. The river. The river. Mm-hmm. Yes. Detroit was a beaver pelt trading post because it's at the top of the Mississippi River system. Beavers, that's why there's a road called Big Beaver. It is exit 69 off M59 on the way to the river. Big Beaver. And then they hunted all the beavers out. There's like no beavers up there anymore. I've never seen a beaver. Maybe up in the UP. Maybe they got some beavers up in the UP. I don't know. Beaver skin hats, boots, jackets. They loved them. They loved them back in France. Yeah. They loved them back in France. They sold them for lots of money. Anyway. Things I'm thinking about. Things I'm thinking about. Think about that painting. Oh, I just want to go over there and do some stuff. Maybe I will. Maybe I will.